Is wealth learnable? Like, can people, is that something you're just born with, or can you learn?
Oh yeah. I did not have a wealth mindset. You probably did.
I think I did, but I'm not sure. Like, I started with like personal development tapes, just, back in the day with cassettes and everything. So I think that helped because I think I was absorbing it and learning it and seeing a different perspective. But yeah.
Yeah, I didn't come from lack. My dad was a dentist, but he had 5 kids, and so there wasn't a lot left over. And I was the youngest of 5, so I always had the hand-me-downs. And I think I was coming from a scarcity mindset a lot, like fear-based. Like, I don't know if I'll have enough. And I came from a generation where my mother and most women didn't work, and they were sort of very reliant on their husband. Even if they were in an unhappy marriage, they just had to put up with it because they couldn't fend for themselves. And so anyway, I didn't have one, and it became very clear one day when a friend of ours came just out of the blue and completely lit up our house for Christmas. It probably cost him $500.
You came with a crew of guys.
They got ladders. They're lighting up our house. They drag a Christmas tree because we couldn't afford it, and lit up our house, Christmas tree and all. And he's like, ho, 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 Merry Christmas. He looks down and sees a fax machine on the floor that we were going to sell on Craigslist, and it said $50 on it, so we were going to sell it. And he goes, oh man, I need a fax machine. I'm like, okay, yeah, it's $50. He's like, literally, he's like, no thanks, walks out.
Yep.
And I just look at Rich, I'm like, oh, I think I have a scarcity mindset.
Yeah.
Oh, because an abundant mindset would just give.
Yep.
Would just give, especially under this condition, But it just, a abundance mindset knows that there's enough and that you will get yours. I was the youngest of 5. I never got mine. The cereal was never there for me in the morning.
Right.
So I had to overcome this. And I remember it was so deep, and my fear of poverty. And remember, for women, this goes back centuries.
Yeah.
Of if you're too old or you're not good enough, you will get tossed out into the river. Like nobody needs you or wants you. So I had to overcome this old cellular stuff. And so I listened to a CD called Prosperity, and it was hypnosis to get, like we talked about at the beginning of the show, your subconscious is so powerful. And my subconscious still believes that I'd get thrown out. By the time I'm 30, I'll be too old. Whatever, I've got to take what I can because it won't be there for me.
Yeah.
There won't be enough for me. And I had to shift that. This went so deep in my subconscious, and I had to listen to it every day for 30 days to shift that, where there was enough, and I could imagine myself having enough, and imagine myself having so much I could give. And it worked. It shifted it.
And you read The Science of Getting Rich.
Science of Getting
Rich
Rich
after that.
was so good. I read a lot of those books to just shift the deeper self-conscious, because if you have a deep, deep belief that you won't have enough, or you can't have enough, or you'll be tossed out, that's going to drive everything.
Yeah, I like to say media changes mindset. So like the more you can, if you are lacking a abundance mindset, like how can you consume some media that'll help you? Like read the tapes, the CDs, and now today like the podcasts, the audio books or the physical books. Like that media, like the more you listen to that, it changes mindset. Yeah. When I wanted Heather to, I tell the story a lot, but I was like when I wanted Heather to get on board with real estate, because I was like, oh, this is gonna be great. We're gonna make all this money. It's gonna be it's a cool business. She's just like, yeah, it sounds like get rich quick. Like I don't want any of that self-help stuff, right?
Sure.
I just, give me my job. We'll make a good career, and we'll retire when we're 70, right? Like that was kind of like the mentality she came from, and I was there. I just got a few months earlier, right? I discovered it. So I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and I'm like, oh, that's like this book changed my mindset. So I wanted her to read it. And she just wouldn't, she's like, I don't read self-help books. Like, I don't want to do that. So I finally made the deal. I couldn't pay her to do it because we're both broke. But I said, okay, fine, I'll make you a trade. I'll read any book you want me to read if you read this one. Doesn't matter how long it is. You tell me a book, I'm going to read it. And and she's like, any book? And I'm like, any book. She's like, fine. So she hands me like this 800-page Twilight. So I read all of Twilight, and then I read all of the ones in the series. And Team Jacob. But she read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and she gets done. She's like, oh, yeah, this is great. I get it. Like it changed, the media changed her mindset.
Yeah.
And so she got excited about it, and we've been on kind of the same page ever since. And
Yeah.
so we also try to consume media. I did that when I wanted to eat more vegan. Like I'm not vegan, but I wanted to eat more vegan. So I was like, well, let's just watch some vegan documentaries. That'll make you vegan.
Yeah.
Like, cause they're just like,
Right.
because they're so, you know, you can watch a documentary on veganism and one on eating only meat, and both of them have 100% science to back up.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
And so you'll be convinced either way.
Yep.
So yeah, it's like, our brains are manipulatable. So like learn to manipulate them. The way that you want. Yeah, in the right direction. Yeah. Don't let them be manipulated by your random forces.
Yeah.
But manipulate them in the way you want to.
Or the forces that are trying to control you.
Yes,
which
yeah.
is the
Which is
media.
Yeah.
Will
Yeah.
put
We
you in
want
that
you this
scarcity
way.
place.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah. The media like designed to make you fearful and scared, because then you're just gonna listen to more of the media to try to figure out what comes next.
I know. And so many people are looking for like just the how-to. You know, when you talk about wealth, you know, the wealth mindset thing or whatever it is, it's like, just tell me the facts of what I need to do, what I need to buy, like real estate especially, you know. It's just like, how do I get this many doors in this, instead of really looking at yourself. And I think that's where you really got to start. It's just like, how are you operating? What's going on in here? What's your mindset? Until you get that right, all the like having a cookbook is not going to do you anything good.
Yeah, that's good. Well, let's shift a little bit to the real estate and dig in. I might even make like a segment of the show eventually where it's gonna be like this is a how-to section, right? Like there's a lot of mindset, there's a lot of stories, but I want to eventually get to, you know, as long as I've got geniuses on real estate, how does somebody get into real estate? Let's go through kind of a step-by-step. Like there's a million ways to do it, but teaching people today that are listening, let's say they don't have any property, they know that real estate investing is something they want to do, or at least wealth is something they want to have, like monetary wealth. What do they do? Where do they start? How do they get there? I know it's a big question. So
I would say it's, you know, that's the wise investor. That's the reason I wrote it. It was not to say, but get the book. I'm saying that it's the hero in the journey. His name's Ryan. He's the one who's in that mindset of just like, this is the way it is. And he had no idea he'd even entertain real estate. So I think it's about educating yourself and committing to say, I'm going to take the next 6 months. I'm not going to try to buy anything. I'm not going to try to do anything. I'm going to take the 6 months to figure out what is it that I want to invest in and become an expert in that. Because if you'll jump all over the place. Just like, multifamily is the way, single family is the way, you know, self-storage is the way, you know, whatever it is. It's like, so you got to pick your lane. And I think taking 6 months to do that and get clear and just absorb everything you can, listen to podcasts, try to figure out what is it, what are you leaning toward? And once you choose that asset class, then really learn as much as you can, and then find mentors and resources in that.
That's good.
And I would say just start small. Again, coming back to that theme, I've had people come up to me at conferences and say, I want to syndicate. And I'm like, great. How many deals have you done? None. Okay, you're not ready. I mean, maybe other people would think that's okay. I don't think that's okay. I mean, unless you are partnering with someone.
That's the way to hijack. You partner with somebody who's already done it.
If you're just able to bring people together, that may be your gift, but make sure you've got a real estate expert. But, you know, sometimes the simplest thing of maybe doing what I did in the very beginning when I was a single mom, where I rented a house and I subleased 2 of the rooms. There you go. You've just learned how to sublease. And that didn't take, that fed me. It wasn't costing me. It was bringing money in. Then when we were going through the cancer scare, well, we rented out rooms in our house too. So we learned how to be landlords. Then just with our daughter, she wanted to buy a car right out of college. And we're like, if you buy a car, this is going to ruin your debt to income ratio. Just deal with your old car. It still works. Talk to a lender. Sometimes that's the best first step. Just find out what you can qualify for. Turns out, right out of college, she could qualify for a $300,000 house. And believe it or not, that exists in Chico, California. So she talked to the lender, found out she could actually qualify, and then started, and I'm like, now start shopping. And she was able to find a house that she could improve herself for $250,000. It was a 3-bedroom instead of the 2-bedroom apartment she was living in. So she really upgraded her life. The payment was lower. She improved that. She did a lot of the work herself, improved it, sold it for $150,000 gain, was able to then come and live near us in the Los Angeles area and use that as a down payment. Now she's got another house. She's going to put an ADU on it. So just taking that first step, again, you had mentioned earlier, talking to a mortgage broker, that's the first step, so you know what you qualify for. If you don't qualify for anything, then some people will say you can use other people's money. I say maybe, but how about just make some money?
Yeah.
Like for me, when we were learning it, but we didn't have the extra money to invest. You just kind of look at your life and say, what am I good at? What could I make money at right now?
Yep.
And what I could make money at right then was I had this radio show, right? So why not make that better, really improve it, put energy in it, make it great, and then get sponsors.
Yeah.
Now I have some money, and I could use that money as down payments
Yep.
rather than, I mean, obviously you can JV with other people, but I'm just like, get a side gig.
Yeah.
You know, just find a way to make a little extra money, put that aside, that'll be your investing money. That's just my advice.
Yeah, and I have a few friends who have been waiting to get into real estate for years.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's just like, what I say to them is just get that first investment property.
Yep.
Just one, to break the ice, because they're so afraid of that. So it's, get pre-qualified, buy that first investment property, even if it's like a $200,000 or $150,000 house. Then you get it, you learn about depreciation and taxes and keeping up with things and everything. Yeah. And then you can graduate and go, wherever you want, just like you started with single families, right?
Yeah. And you mentioned earlier about there's a lot of ways to get there. There's this idea that, all roads lead to Rome. There's that like famous phrase, and it's like, because the Roman Empire, right, was all spread out, but every road, every major highway would eventually get to Rome, right? So the same thing is true with wealth. I see it as like all roads lead to wealth. However, if you get off the road and you're like, oh, well, that road over there looks better, and you go over there, and then you go on this road, like, oh, look at that one over there. There's like you can walk a million roads and never get to Rome.
That's a really
right?
good point.
So if you stay on the highway to wealth, you will get there. So I say this with people all the time, is they try to, I'm going to do real estate. And then they do it. They get on that road for a while. And then 6 months in, they're like, well, I'm not wealthy yet. So I guess I better go
crypto.
try. Yeah, crypto. Yeah, exactly. Oh, I'm going to go do
really
crypto.
Well.
And then I'm going to go do this thing. I'm going to go sell Tupperware. And it's this never ending thing. And so because of that, they're circling wealth, and they're not going toward wealth.
Following the journey.
Yeah, so just that idea. I love that you said what can you be an expert in? And that is so lacking in today's world. Like everyone wants, what's the lowest effort I can put in to be good at this? And you brought it up with improve yourself. Like do a good job on the radio show so you can get better sponsors. Nobody's thinking that. Like I feel like so many people are just like, what's the least effort I can put in so I can go and relax more
and make lots of money.
Yeah, and make a lot of money. Yeah, and it doesn't work that way, does it?
No.
Yeah, fascinating.